Tuesday's episode of The Bold and the Beautiful delivers an unrelenting tidal wave of chaos, heartbreak, and trauma as Luna Nozawa's terrifying breakdown reaches a horrifying new level. What began as a web of secrets and emotional instability has now transformed into a full-fledged nightmare, one that explodes into deadly violence, shattering the lives of everyone involved and sending shockwaves across Los Angeles. As the sun sets over the beach house, what should have been a peaceful evening is violently disrupted by a moment of pure terror. Inside, Luna's descent into madness takes a sharp and irreversible turn when she pulls the trigger during a heated struggle with Sheila Carter. The shot rings out like a thunderclap, and in an instant, Sheila collapses to the ground, her lifeblood spilling across the floor as Steffi Forrester watches in wide-eyed horror. The woman who had survived the unthinkable so many times now finds herself wounded and helpless, the victim of the very girl who once seemed fragile and broken. The chaos doesn't end there. Instead of rushing to call for help, Luna stands motionless, her breathing heavy, her fingers still curled around the trigger. The gun trembles in her hand, but her intentions are clear. Her wrath has not yet been satisfied. As Steffi inches forward trying to assess Sheila's condition, Luna turns the weapon once more, this time aiming it squarely at Steffi's chest. The tension in the room is suffocating. Every breath is heavy. Every second feels like a lifetime. Outside, the breeze carries the scent of salt water and tension as Liam Spencer speaks with hope over the phone. His tone is casual, unaware of the horror unraveling just feet away. But something, perhaps a primal instinct or a subtle noise, shifts in him. A distant sound pierces through the conversation, and Liam's expression changes in an instant. The unmistakable pop of a gunshot jolts him into action. Without another word, he hangs up and sprints toward the beach house, fear and adrenaline surging through his veins. What he finds inside is beyond anything he could have prepared for. Sheila lies crumpled on the floor, blood pooling beneath her. Across the room, Steffi stands frozen, caught in the crosshairs of Luna's madness. Without hesitation, Liam throws himself between them. His voice is calm, even pleading, but Luna's eyes are wild. She doesn't listen. She doesn't care. When Liam lunges for the gun, a violent struggle erupts, one that ends in another deafening blast. Time seems to stop. Liam collapses, clutching his side, his face contorted in pain. A gasp escapes Steffi's lips as she drops to her knees beside him. The man who once promised to always protect her has just paid a terrible price for keeping that promise. But the nightmare isn't over. Luna, disoriented but still driven by rage, raises the gun once more, aiming directly at Steffi. Her voice is cold and mocking as she taunts Liam, who bleeds out on the floor. "You can't shoot me," she sneers, "because you're weak. You always have been." But Liam's eyes are burning with fury, and despite the pain he forces himself up, his hand wrapping around the weapon. "I'm a dead man anyway," he growls, before pulling the trigger and ending the reign of terror once and for all. The room falls into an eerie silence. Luna crumples to the floor, finally stopped, her rampage brought to a bloody end. Steffi, trembling, leans over Liam, her hands soaked in blood, her heart racing with fear and grief. But before she can process what's happened, the front door bursts open again. Finn Finnegan storms in, his eyes instantly locking onto the wreckage around him. His gaze darts from Steffi to Sheila to Liam to Luna. The blood. The chaos. The trauma. For a moment he can't breathe. It's as if the air has been sucked out of the room. His mother lies wounded. His wife is in shock. His best friend is bleeding. And his daughter, his own daughter, is unconscious on the ground, having become the monster he never saw coming. His voice breaks as he demands to know what happened, but Steffi can barely speak. Her body is shaking. Her lips tremble. "It was Luna," she whispers. "She did all of this." Finn's knees nearly give out beneath him. It's too much. The weight of it threatens to crush him. As he rushes to Liam's side, desperate to stop the bleeding, Sheila, still conscious but weak, lifts her head. "Help him first," she murmurs, barely audible. "His wounds are worse than mine." In that moment, even Sheila, a woman long considered beyond redemption, shows more humanity than the girl who tried to kill them all. Ambulances soon arrive, their sirens slicing through the night like screams. EMTs flood the scene, stabilizing the victims and rushing them into waiting vehicles. The once serene beach house is now a crime scene, marked by bloodstains and trauma that may never fully fade. At the hospital, the chaos continues. Bill Spencer stands in the waiting room, his face pale, his eyes haunted. The guilt is crushing him. He's the one who brought Luna into everyone's lives. He's the one who pushed for her redemption. Now, as he watches the nurses rush past with gurneys soaked in blood, he realizes just how wrong he was. Inside, doctors move quickly. Lee Finnegan, Bridget Forrester, and Grace Buckingham join forces to do everything they can. They fight to save Sheila, Liam, and Luna, 3 patients brought in from the same violent confrontation, all hanging on by a thread. The tension is unbearable. Every beep of a heart monitor, every whispered update, every decision made in that ER could mean life or death. Finn hovers nearby, torn between the people he loves. He wants to comfort Steffi, to hold her and tell her it's over. But he can't look away from Luna's face. His daughter. The girl he watched grow up. The girl he swore to protect. How did this happen? How did she become this? He searches for answers in her unconscious expression, but none come. As the hours drag on, the waiting room fills with more loved ones: Wyatt, Katie, Carter, Ridge. Everyone wants to know who survived, who didn't, and how this all began. The news spreads quickly and the reactions are varied. Shock, outrage, denial. But no one is left unaffected. The doctors manage to stabilize Liam, though his recovery will be long and painful. Sheila, surprisingly, pulls through, though she remains in critical condition. Luna, however, is less fortunate. Her wounds are severe and her brain activity is minimal. The girl who once lit up rooms with her smile now lies still, her mind as broken as the lives she tried to destroy. Steffi sits at Liam's bedside, her hand clasped tightly in his. She whispers apologies through tears, blaming herself even though everyone tells her not to. Liam tries to comfort her, but his voice is weak. "You saved me," he says softly. "You always do." Meanwhile, Finn visits Luna's room. The pain in his heart is indescribable. He watches her chest rise and fall, the machines doing what her body can no longer do on its own. He wants to hate her for what she did. He wants to scream. But all he can do is cry. This is his daughter. And no matter what she's done, part of him will always love her. Later, Bill finally works up the courage to face Finn and Steffi. His voice is broken, full of regret. "I never meant for any of this," he says. "I thought I was helping her. I thought I was doing the right thing." But his words fall flat. There's no forgiveness in their eyes. Only grief. As night turns to morning, and the hospital begins to quiet down, the true cost of Luna's rampage begins to settle in. Families are broken. Trust is shattered. And nothing will ever be the same again. In the days to come, there will be investigations, arrests, charges, trials. But none of that matters right now. What matters is that lives were lost, not just physically but emotionally and spiritually. The Bold and the Beautiful has seen many tragedies over the years, but few have been as personal, as gut-wrenching, or as permanent as this one. Because when Luna pulled that trigger, she didn't just shoot Sheila or Liam. She shot through the very heart of the Forrester family. Through every bond, every promise, every hope. And those wounds may never heal. The latest whirlwind of drama on The Bold and the Beautiful came crashing down like a tidal wave of emotion, betrayal, and bloodshed as Luna Nozawa's descent into madness reached a fever pitch. What began as a quietly simmering obsession spiraled into a full-blown catastrophe, shaking the very core of the Forrester family and sending shockwaves across Los Angeles. Luna, Lisa Yamada, in an unhinged effort to reconnect with the father she never truly had, Finn, Tanner Novlin, went beyond the point of no return, dragging several beloved characters into the crossfire. Literally, it all unfolded at the peaceful, picture-perfect beach house that has so often served as a sanctuary for Steffi Forrester, Jacqueline McInnes Wood. But this time, serenity was replaced by chaos, as Luna manipulated, threatened, and cornered Steffi with a loaded weapon and a twisted vendetta. With her mental state rapidly deteriorating, Luna lured Steffi to the house under the guise of reconciliation or conversation. But what Steffi encountered was far from rational. Instead, she came face to face with a desperate woman holding her at gunpoint and spewing venom about perceived betrayals, abandonment, and the injustice of being separated from her so-called family. What made Luna's tirade even more chilling was the icy calmness in her voice when she accused Steffi of keeping her away from Finn and Hayes. Her resentment had festered to such a degree that she viewed Steffi not just as an obstacle, but as a villain in her own delusional story. Despite Steffi's best efforts to reason with her, Luna's mind was too far gone, poisoned by a warped sense of entitlement and emotional instability. Her gun never wavered, and her threats became more terrifying by the second. Steffi, usually so composed and fierce, found herself powerless in the moment, knowing that one wrong move could spell disaster. In a surprising twist of fate, Sheila Carter, Kimberlyn Brown, arrived in an attempt to defuse the situation. For once, Sheila wasn't the one causing trouble, she was the one trying to prevent it. In a moment that stunned longtime viewers, the infamously ruthless and manipulative Sheila became the voice of reason. She begged Luna to lower the gun, to let Steffi go, to remember that violence wouldn't bring her the love or connection she so desperately craved. Sheila, who has spent most of her life dancing with darkness, stood there as a barrier between life and death, her arms outstretched, her voice quivering with urgency. But Luna, caught in the grip of her own hysteria, wasn't listening. And that's when things took a fatal turn. The arrival of Liam Spencer, Scott Clifton, shifted everything. Always the noble protector, always the one ready to step into chaos to rescue the woman he's loved time and time again, Liam entered the beach house like a man with nothing left to lose. With his terminal diagnosis hanging over his head like a dark cloud, Liam walked into danger willingly. He wasn't afraid. He believed he was already a dead man walking, so why not go out saving someone he cared about? Liam pleaded with Luna, trying to appeal to any fragment of reason still lingering in her fractured psyche. He tried to remind her of who she used to be, the caring, kind young woman who just wanted to be loved. But Luna wasn't hearing it. Her eyes were wild, her hands shaking as she turned her weapon on Liam. And in a moment that no one could have predicted, the shot rang out. Blood splattered across the pristine floor of the beach house as Liam fell to the ground, clutching his side. Panic erupted. Steffi screamed. Sheila lunged forward. But it was too late. Luna, now completely detached from reality, stood over Liam's body, stunned at what she had done. And then came the twist that changed everything. In his pain, in his rage, in his desperation, Liam managed to turn the gun on Luna and pulled the trigger. Two people lay bleeding in the beach house, their fates uncertain, the silence deafening after the echoes of gunfire. The once idyllic sanctuary was now a crime scene soaked in trauma. And yet, as dramatic as this climax was, soap fans know better than to assume anything is final in The Bold and the Beautiful. Though Liam's situation looked grim, a new twist emerged, as a leaked script from The Bold and the Beautiful surfaced on X, formerly Twitter, throwing the fandom into a frenzy. According to the leak, Liam is still alive come September. The scene in question was filmed on June 30th and is scheduled to air on September 8th, indicating that despite his gunshot wound and terminal illness, Liam's journey isn't over. But what does this mean for his so-called terminal diagnosis? Has his condition been misdiagnosed? Or is there a miraculous recovery on the horizon? This revelation sent shockwaves through fan circles, especially considering how long The Bold and the Beautiful tends to stretch out its storylines. Liam's brain tumor has been a central plot for months now, with fans mourning him in advance, preparing for the worst, and wondering how his inevitable death would reshape the lives of Steffi, Hope, and others. But now all of that is up in the air. Enter Dr. Grace Buckingham, Cassandra Creech, a character who has suddenly become far more suspicious than anyone could have anticipated. While she was initially portrayed as a compassionate and competent doctor, recent developments have cast a shadow over her integrity. Grace has taken an unusually personal interest in Liam's illness. Her frequent check-ins, her emotional involvement, and her evasive behavior all seemed slightly odd at first. But now, with new evidence emerging, fans are starting to believe that Grace may be part of something far more sinister. The speculation grows louder with each passing episode. What if the brain tumor diagnosis was a lie? What if Grace, in collaboration with a major pharmaceutical company, fabricated or exaggerated Liam's condition to push a new experimental drug? After all, Grace has been receiving an unusual number of mysterious phone calls and cryptic text messages. She always steps away to take the calls. She deletes messages without reading them out loud. She nervously scans her surroundings whenever her phone buzzes. All of these signs point to a secret, one that could destroy her career and ruin lives. The theory is simple but chilling. The pharmaceutical company offers Grace a massive kickback if she convinces high-profile patients to take their new, untested drug. Liam, as a public figure tied to the powerful Spencer family, becomes the perfect target. Grace pushes the narrative of the terminal brain tumor, convinces him that this drug is his only hope, and in doing so sets the stage for corporate profit at the expense of human life. If this theory proves true, it changes everything. Liam might not be dying after all. He may have been manipulated into believing his time was limited, pushed into emotional decisions, drastic actions, and near-death situations under false pretenses. It also means that Grace could face jail time, lawsuits, and the complete collapse of her medical reputation. And if Sheila or Steffi uncover this truth, there's no telling how far they'll go to expose it. Meanwhile, fans can't help but wonder what Luna's fate will be. With Liam surviving and turning the tables on her, she may soon find herself in police custody, or worse. But knowing the bold and the beautiful, redemption arcs aren't off the table. Could Luna be sent to a psychiatric facility instead of prison? Will Finn, torn between his love for Steffi and his DNA connection to Luna, try to advocate for leniency? Or will the damage she caused be too great to forgive? One thing's for certain, this storyline has captivated fans in a way few others have. It's a masterful blend of psychological drama, medical mystery, emotional conflict, and explosive violence. Viewers are hanging on every word, every leak, every twist and turn. Liam's fight for life. Luna's descent into chaos. Grace's potentially devastating lies. And through it all, Steffi stands strong, a woman tested time and time again by tragedy and betrayal. As the days pass and more details are revealed, fans should prepare for the unexpected. Liam's recovery may come with emotional scars. His relationship with Hope may shift. Steffi's trauma could deepen. Sheila's unusual attempt at heroism may gain her some measure of respect. And Grace? She may soon face the consequences of a lie too big to bury.